I'd like us to listen to Bishop Matthew Asankuka. He was on Arise News some days ago, and he had this to say. Please take a listen.
The machinery had already been put in place. As a little kid, I remember, all we wanted to do was just to see what the Sardauna looked like. And in my little village, they were going around with these screens showing us all kinds of things. We had all the wonderful things. Then we had a bureaucracy that really was oblivious to some of the things that have now come to haunt us: ethnicity, religion, the hegemons, and so on and so forth. So we had everything we needed. And when people say to us about Nigeria, why are we not like Singapore? Why are we not like Japan? Well, truth of the matter is that we could have been better than Singapore. We could have been better than Malaysia. Could have literally been better than, no one would have seen our back had the military not struck.
Right.
Because we already had a bureaucracy. And the reason why Singapore is the way it is not because Lee Kuan Yew, yes, he did an extraordinary good job.
But it's that inherited bureaucracy.
He inherited bureaucracy.
Yes.
And the destruction of the bureaucracy, the destruction of society was escalated. Then ethnic identity and consciousness began to emerge. And I can tell you, most Northerners who are in their 70s and 80s still cannot come to terms with the brutal killing of the Sardauna and Tafawa Balewa. Unfortunately, we have a country that doesn't like to confront the truth. We often say as Africans, forgive and forget. And we bury the hatchet, but the handle is outside. So, in my view, up till today, we have not been able to have the time, the honesty, the sincerity to come to the table to say, look, what went wrong? And this is why what we have, the dreams of our fathers or founding fathers have now become nightmares for us. And we now ended up with a situation in which the recruitment process, whether it's for public life or the bureaucracy, all of those things came crashing. So I think we can say why we are where we are today.
The bishop mentioned that we usually have this thing where we just forgive and forget. Well, I'd like you to listen to something just to show you how terrible things can be, especially with those who, for some reason, think that they can lead the rest of us in Nigeria. I'm looking for the video. I'd like you to just take a listen to this and then we'll talk about it. This is Sowore. Take a listen, please.
If I were to be president of Nigeria today, the first thing I would do is to head to the Southeast and apologize to them for the war. Nigeria has a problem. And I've always said, Nigeria has an Igbo problem. And I'm not saying it to please people who are known as Ibos. But the moment they decided to take the action they took in 1967 to 1970, the war, Nigeria, having won that war in their eyes, never forgave the Ibos. There is a secret memo, I don't know where it is located, in government, that whenever we want to take charge in this country, be careful of the Igbo. Don't give them position. Don't give them opportunity. Otherwise, they will overrun. It's a well-known fact. Even our parents tell us, Igbo. You understand? Some of them even say unconsciously. They even say it on radio shows in this country. So don't let us lie to ourselves, because except we bring this out openly and discuss, it's a taboo that we have refused to discuss.
True.
We are not going to solve the problem. It is the reason why the federal government of Nigeria feels that in 2024, detaining Nnamdi Kanu against all the court orders, against all the court rulings, is the only way to go. You know, I was detained in the DSS place for 5 months.
Yes.
There's nothing there to detain anybody. The place is not even functioning. The DSS headquarters. Yes, is it the same DSS people who are watching BB Nigeria from morning to night?
That's a presidential candidate. You see, one of the things you don't want to ever have in life is to be half educated, because you're going to be left with the ability to speak English, and when you speak, you'll be correct grammatically, but you'll be spewing ignorance. Anybody who says they want to go to the Southeast to apologize to the Southeast, that anybody that says that is a very ignorant person. I don't care, that they are lecturing. I put this thing on, I responded to it, and someone told me that this person taught Nigeria. In fact, I don't want to misquote because it's just shocking. Someone said that the person actually taught a course in Nigeria, in the US or something. I'm like, I'll read the exchange before I say what I want to talk. So somebody quoted his video and says, this is Nope. It says, you see this Sowore's video, there's an element of truth in it, but apologizing is not the solution. Rather, it's the right political strategy and alignment. That's the only way the fear can go away and the trust can be regained. More so, there's need for a massive national reorientation on the unity in diversity. Alternatively, there should be national renegotiation of Nigeria as an indissoluble nation. Otherwise, producing a president from this region may never happen again. I then responded, there's no truth to it. I quoted it, said there's no truth to it. It's chasing effects instead of causes. Study the history closely and you see everyone played a role, but the one demanding reparations is actually the one that should be apologizing. Sowore and the rest of us really need to study. So somebody responded to me by saying Sowore taught pre and post-colonial history in the US. He has to explain the statement he made. From what I'm learning following Sowore and reading you must set forth as done by Prof, I have come to understand a little bit more of the context of the Civil War. So I asked, he taught or he learned? Because if it's taught, in quote, then we truly have a serious problem as a people. When those meant to teach haven't learned enough themselves, yet presume to know enough to make such assertions. Here's the point. Anybody who discusses Nigeria's history and says he needs to apologize to the Igbo is an ignorant person. I don't care if they have taught Nigerian history or they have taught it in US or in Togo. It doesn't matter. The person is ignorant. You can acknowledge what has happened without missing the total context of the events. For instance, who is going to apologize to the people in the Midwest? Who will apologize to people in Ore? Who will go to Benue? Who will apologize to people in River State? The Abonemas, the people in Degema. Who will apologize to the Ibibio? The Efiks? Who will apologize to them? This thing where we have been so overwhelmed by victim narrative, a victim rhetoric, a single narrative, that we now think that because that person has said it again and again and again and again and again and again, that person must have been wronged. Therefore, we should help them. I know we do this thing where we like David and Goliath kind of thing, right? We always want to back the person who is like the underdog. So, who is the underdog? Let's back him. Just because the person is underdog doesn't mean that they have sense. You can be underdog because you're actually senseless. The idea that the East is right because they lost is senseless. Apologize for what? What should we say to the families that lost their to Yoruba people that lost their family members in Benin, or to Benin people themselves that died because people from the southeast went to their land? What should we say to the concentration camps that were built in Benin? Think about it. Somebody comes into your land, built concentration camps in your land, and put your people in there. Built the same thing in Umaya and took people from rivers into those places. Killed people en masse, and you had bodies floating on the rivers. You see, the thing is, Nigerians don't know. We know very little about what really happened in the past. Very little. A person leaves his place, says he's fighting for his region, decides to take other people's lands, and then decides to start encroaching and actually overrunning other people's regions and declaring governors in those regions and writing letters of what he would do in Yoruba land, in Western region, in Lagos, all over the country. And you should apologize for what? It's because of our ignorance that leaders of the Ibos will say they want 10 trillion naira reparations. Who are they talking to? Their family members? If there's any group, with all due respect to the lives that were lost, because people died, and that is regrettable, and that's terrible. There is no way you can even politicize death. But if you are looking for reparations, the Igbo should be paying Nigeria reparations for many years to come. People were killed. Let me just please read from the minorities' perspective first. Let's even leave Yoruba people out of it, because we never know what we do. From September, Ojukwu don dey bomb Yoruba land. September of 66. War no begin until July. So 10 months before war even big. Sorry guys, we have a retard just disturbing me. Go and talk to your parents. Maybe they'll teach you at home, because now lie then take raise you people. I they even try help you, see they talk nonsense. But you know what? I won't mute it forever. Not throughout the life, just 5 minutes. Hopefully to help your brain. Here's the point. Since September of 66, Ojukwu's boys started bombing Yoruba land. Bombed Lagos, Federal Palace Hotel, bombed Ore Bridge. This was 10 months before the war. There was no war until July 6, 1967. The man was bombing places in September of 66. The casino hotel they bombed in Yaba, the folks who died, the filling station they bombed that exploded and destroyed buildings and people lost their lives. How come nobody talks about these things? The Northerners who were killed in the east, how come nobody talks about the fact that 2,000 people were in a train journeying from the east to the north, and they were stopped by Biafran soldiers, by Ibos soldiers? There was no Biafra then, Sef. September of 66, they were stopped by Ibos soldiers. All the adult males in that train were killed and were thrown into the Imo River. Why doesn't anybody talk about this? All adult males. Some of the people were sold into slavery. If you think I'm lying, read the book by John de St. George, The Nigerian Civil War. Read the book by A.H.M. Green, Crisis and Conflict in Nigeria, Volume 2. People, and Volume 1 and Volume 2. Read those books. People were slaughtered. During the war that they're saying they should be looking for apology, rather, Adakiri, lepers were killed in Benin. Lepers. How do you go into people's territory and kill lepers? There's a river there called Osiomo River. On this side, you have the Ibos. On the other side, you have the Benin, the Yoruba, and other groups. These clowns went through the Igbo side, did nothing, crossed the river, routed lepers, a lepers colony, killed the Benin, Edo, and Yoruba people that they could find. Lepers. Did the same thing in Ugeli, Sapele, Wari, Bini, rounded up all the outsiders they could find, killed them. Why would you ask for apology after doing that? No, they killed your people. I mean, bad story. Again, I'm very careful when it comes to lives lost, because people died in the southeast. And it's a terrible thing. But no, there's no apology for that. Not when you are trying to gaslight the entire country and say, oh, I was just sitting down, I just came and destroyed my people, I did not do anything, or just came to... You're lying. This is a situation. I mean, read the book by what's this man's name? Ken Sarawewa, On a Darkling Plain. Lecturers, professors were telling them why they should fight the war. I feel sorry for the common people in the southeast, because they suffered on two fronts. Number one is like real suffering from the war. Number two is the psychological thing that has remained with them, and that psychological portion is actually worse than the events that happened. And the reason is because it's not that the psychological things came from psychological issues they're having, because they're still having it. It's not like it came from the war. It actually came from the propaganda of those who started the war. That propaganda thing is what is affecting the average person. That you make, they will now say to the point where a person who is trying to become president is anybody that panders towards one ethnic group in Nigeria is not serious. You go and apologize for what? For what? Like, I don't know, for what exactly? Oh, for people that died. Okay, so are you going to apologize for the Nigerians who also lost their lives? Are you going to, I mean, read the book by Neil Graham Douglas. He talked about what happened in the area. people were unalived by Biafran forces. A church, 400 people were packed in that, and that happened in two places. One in the Rivers area, the other one in Enoin Division. That Enoin Division, they talked about it in 1968 Addis Ababa conference. 400 people gathered into the church and they killed everybody. They burnt that place down with the people inside it. The Biafran Igbo guys did it. How come nobody talks about another about almost 400 again in the Rivers area? You see that in the book by Nebo Graham Douglas. Put them inside one church, burnt the church down. Why do you think the people in the Rivers behave the way they do? You think they're not human beings? They're just doing what they're doing. You don't know the history. How can you bomb 400 people inside one church? Not once. Went to a particular prayer group in Rivers State, said because those people were praying for Nigeria, destroyed the entire place where they were praying, chase people, kill the ones they could kill. Prayer houses, then decided to ban praying, they call them praying houses in that area. By the way, if you go to that side of the country, you see a lot of praying houses. Banned those praying houses because they were not praying for the success of Biafran war for the Ojukwu site. Went to places in Port Harcourt that were owned by River people, Ibibio people, anybody that was not Igbo, burnt down those houses. Why do you think they came back and said they're going to have abandoned property? We cannot be listening to somebody who tells us that don't believe danger of single story, but the person is giving us one story and we are believing it and we are saying sorry. Sorry to who? Again, acknowledge the lives that were lost. It was terrible, but guess what? The person that should be apologizing is your man. Is the person that got you in trouble. I can empathize, and any sane person would empathize, because when you see pictures of children suffering from kwashiorkor, it's terrible. You have to acknowledge that. But I can't take responsibility for it. I can't apologize for that. I can't. It's even stupid to apologize for something like that, because what that means basically is that you have become a person who doesn't know anything about facts. You're just driven by emotions. And if a person can emotionally blackmail you once, you are done for. That's your life. And I've said it before, emotionally blackmailing people from the Southeast is not even because of the war. It's a strategy that has worked since the 1940s. Documented strategy, by the way, documented results. Whether from the British side or from the Igbo side, we have documented. If they do it this way, it makes people do what they want. That doesn't happen again. So that means you hate us. That's your business. Somebody says Akintola was in opposition and was killed. I still don't understand it. Meanwhile, they left theirs. That was even 1966 January. People were on. Guys, think about it. You have a coup. You kill every politician from everywhere but from your region. And the other region where you have your people leading, you didn't go there too. We had 5 capitals: Lagos, Ibadan, Kaduna, Benin, and Enugu. And one place of interest, Calabar, because that was where Papa was being held. Lagos, they kill people like crazy. Ibadan, the same thing. Kaduna, the same thing. Enugu was quiet. Benin was quiet. And the thing that both of them have in common is that they were being led by Igbo premiers. Calabar, as quiet as the street. There's one street in my unit, very quiet. Staff quarters, very quiet. You'll be hearing birds chirping. Nothing. I was saying something about the kwashiorkor children. I'm going to go back to that. When you see images of those kwashiorkor children, those kids suffering from kwashiorkor, it should pain you if you're a human being. But if you make any decision based on that picture, you are not a thinking human being. When you see that picture, it should touch something in you. It should toggle at your heart. You should feel somehow about, like, why would people be like this? But if you decide just because of that picture, you are not a thinking person. I don't care that you have lectured in Harvard, it doesn't matter. The question you should be asking is this: why did this happen, and how did this happen, and who is responsible for this? Not, oh, look at what they did to us. What did they do? I'm very careful because people died. So you have to be very, but think about it. Human suffering is crazy. Like you have to, it's something that one has to be very careful. But let me say something. I, again, empathize with people that went through that, but the apologies are not mine to give. The people to be apologizing to those people are Ojuku and the people that got them into that thing. Someone says, why? Number one, before the war, the East has always had issues with protein. Almost forever. The meals in the Southeast have almost always been deficient of protein. This is documented. If you want to go into it, when we have the time, we'll discuss it. I'm just responding to what Sowore said. They've always had issues with protein-rich food. Again, is nature. Some things nature doesn't give you, and this is not. I'm not saying that it's their fault that they don't have it. It's just how it is or how it was. So for fish, they depended on the rivers area. For beef, they depend on the northern part. That's Ogoja area. The food that the Southeast was eating even before the war, most of it came from Ogoja. Most of what they consumed wasn't created in their own land, which means that if you want to have war, since your surname is War and they've begged you, they told you no fight, they had meetings, they had engagements, you went to Aburi. This thing is long. You went to Aburi January 4, January 5, 1967. You went to Aburi. By March, the decree number 8 was propagated. Your own people, Ojuku's people, said that decree number 8 contains 95%. One person, his name is N.U. Akpan, who was the secretary of the Eastern region. He said this stuff contains 95% of what we asked for in Aburi. As though that was not enough. Your own private secretary, that's Ojuku's private secretary, who also happens to be a lawyer, says that no, it's not even 95%, that thing contains 98% of the Aburi demands. The 95% claim, you find it in the book by N.U. Akpan, is called The Struggle for Secession. The 98%, you find it in the book by Ilarin Joku, The Tragedy Without Heroes. How can you have 95 to 98% of what you demanded in Aburi and you still say you won't fight? This was in March. And then by May, federal government was still doing police action. In June, he declared Biafra. Federal government, Yakubu Gowon declared 12 states in May 27. He came along with Biafra May 30. There was no war. They were having, police action. Let's just try and settle this thing. Until now, when they start bombing places in present-day Benue State. Waiting, Igbo man, they look for Inokene. Waiting, Igbo man, they look for in Benue. Say you carry gun, go there, go do waiting. Now, while all this was going on, you didn't have any plans for your people in terms of food. You did not know that you didn't have protein in your space. People that had kwashiorkor did not have kwashiorkor because there was no food. They had kwashiorkor because there was no protein-rich food. And that's one of the reasons Okoroko came into existence in Nigeria. In case you don't know, Okoroko came into Nigeria from Norway. That was their own aid that they supplied, stockfish, that the Norwegian government gave to folks in Biafra because, again, protein. So your question will be, okay, so how did they get protein before the war? I thought you would not ask. Two ways. Number one is that in fact, it is one way that had two sources. One way, importation. They always imported protein food into their space because even within the region, their own part of the region did not have those things. So when you're talking about, you don't have beans, you're not growing legumes, that will come from the north. You don't have fish, that will come from rivers. You don't have meat, that will come from Ogoja. So you are dependent on these places. So if you are going to say, I won't fight, I won't flex muscle. Awolowo traveled to Enugu May 6 and 7. The guy said, he won't fight, Isha won't fight. Since you want to fight so badly, how about find a way to ensure that your people the only thing that I think he did as far as protein was concerned is that he stole 400 pounds worth of granite from UAC. That's the only thing Ojukwu did as far as protein was concerned. He stole granite. The UAC, they are still looking for that granite. They've not found it. If you think I'm lying, please read the speech by Anthony Nauro in 1968, August 12, in Addis Ababa. That's the only protein arrangement that Ojukwu made. People didn't have those things. So before the war, you had to import. Then the question is, how do you get the money to import? Two ways. Number one, you imported based on the revenue that was coming to the government. But the question is this: where was the revenue coming from? Well, 64% of the agricultural revenue of the eastern region, the entire eastern region, came from the minority areas, not from Igbo area. 64%. Which is why when we're going to declare their own nation, they didn't want an Igbo nation, he wanted a Biafra nation. Why? Because he needed the land in those other minority areas for two reasons. Number one, for residential purposes and building stuff. Number two, for agricultural purposes. You don't have those things. Then you now went to the rivers area. You have some food from there, you have oil there. So you have to take those places and have your own nation. And we should be apologizing. The people where you disengage, where you kill for their own land, say they must be part of Biafra. Nobody has ever apologized to the southeastern minorities. The eastern minorities. Nobody. Everybody just busy pandering to a crybaby. What nonsense are we having in Nigeria? And this was supposed to be a presidential candidate. The first thing I would do, I'll go and apologize. Go now. Shebito Bate win. How do you build a nation when everybody just moved by emotion? Someone just comes and says, they did this to me. You didn't ask. Some of us are parents here. You know what happens to our kids, especially the youngest ones of them. You will just come and meet you and say, Daddy, they did this to me. What do you do for the most? Don't you ask that? What did you do to your brother? Or what did you do to your sister? Just hey, what is your relation? Last boss can be like that. Our mothers, oh boy. I just see Papa growing up. You know our mothers with the babies. Open shop me feel because last boss are really wrong. Last ones are really wrong. Sorry, there's a clown who is just busy writing nonsense in the comment section. Charlie, or what do you call yourself? This is your 1 second of fame, and it's over now. When people cry and say they did this to them, maybe you should ask questions. What did you do? And I've said it several times. The day the eastern minorities begin to speak, woe betide the person who tells them to stop. Because you have not heard nothing from them. They've written those things in books, but who reads? All of it where we are reading now, thank God. They've written those things in books. They've talked about it. They said their beat. Oputa panel head did. Every time they speak, they are told to shut up. They are told to shut up because national unity. Which kind of national unity makes one person the sole and perpetual victim of every story in Nigeria? Abba. I'll finish that thing on that Kwashoko thing. Two ways they were making the money. Number one, it was through revenue. Most of it was generated not by the Ibos, but by the eastern minorities. Number two, and this is where the Ibos actually tried. Number two was through, I always forget this word. What do we call this thing that we do when you're living abroad and you're sending money back home? Please help me. There's a word for it. Remittance. God bless you. Thank you very much. Remittance. The Igbo people outside the eastern region always sent money back home, which is beautiful, by the way. And that became a major way to import the protein. So here's the point. You have two sources. You have one source of protein importation. You have two sources of funds, revenue and remittances. You are supposed, you want to fight because you must fight. Okay, so what are you doing? What will you do now to ensure that this thing keeps flowing? And then you also have to plan that just in case Nigeria decides to block you, or this they have this blockade set up, that it doesn't affect you. What are you going to do to make sure it doesn't affect you? Nothing. The people now start dying. They are sending food to you. You are diverting food meant for those people. The little protein that was meant for the people, you carried all the protein and gave it to your soldiers. Your soldiers were eating. The people were dying or were suffering from kwashiorkor. And I'm supposed to be the one to apologize. The person that was diverting, it was so bad that they curse out our Lord. They don't understand what this man did. The man went to Port Harcourt. He saw people. And then he asked the question, what is happening? They told him, the reason this is happening is because the food is being diverted by the soldiers. So the question is that who will go to the other side to make sure that the food actually gets to the people? Some of you have big English in your bios. But you see, just because you have big words doesn't mean you have brains to actually contemplate. Let me not talk. Let me just mute you. Where was I? You have to now think of how to ensure that the people at the other end are able to get the food that you are sending to them. The question is this: you had no plan to feed your soldiers, you had no plan to feed your people. You are now asking that the government that you are fighting, your enemy, should feed you. Then the enemy sends you food, you use it to feed only soldiers, and then your propagandist, e.g. Okokon Ndem, e.g. Uche Chukwumerije, e.g. Chino Achebe, especially Okokon Ndem, then went on Radio Biafra to tell the world that the food has been poisoned. Food has been poisoned, but they were looking fat. Have you ever seen the video? I played this here before. Please, you can go on YouTube and look for the video. The video of surrender when Philip Effiong led Biafran officers to surrender to go on. To those people who look like they are hungry. If you need if you need empathy, I will. Of course, there's compassion in my heart because I don't hate anybody. It's bad, but I cannot be sorry for it in terms of saying, well, I want to apologize on behalf of Nigeria for what. Our history will not talk about it. We'll be skirting around issues. The one we're supposed to talk straight, we'll not talk straight. The one we're not supposed to talk straight, we could just undo that one and say, oh, we must fight, we must fight, we must fight. I just wanted to talk about that one that is quite crazy though, because if you're going to lead the people, at least you know their history. To apologize. Well, I apologize now. Anyway, I don't know if I finished answering the question. It's the story is complex, right? The story is complex, but there is no part of it. There is no part of that story that requires apology from Nigerian government. None. None. The greatest thing that Nigerian government did, as far as that thing was concerned, even I feel is wrong. And it's one of the reasons we're where we are today. Is that declaration of no victor, no vanquished. It's a very, very wrong thing to do. But I understand why they had to do it at the time. You know, hindsight is 2020. I don't blame our leaders for doing it. I appreciate the predicament, but I wish they didn't do it. Never say no victor, no vanquished. Never. Never. There's a victor. There has to be. It's not maturity. It's danger for the next generation. You only do that when, let's say, for instance, amongst your peers. If something happens among your peers, maybe you might do it. But even then, you have to acknowledge who won and who lost. Why? Because you want to rub it in? No. Because if there's no victor and there's no vanquished, there will be a vacuum. And that vacuum will be filled by something. And it has been filled by something forever. And that word also begins with a V. It's a victim. No victor, no vanquished. There's a vacuum that makes people victims. So you have to now live your life with a synthetic victim. It's an inorganic victim. Because he can't say he's a victor, he didn't win, clearly. He can't say he's vanquished because that takes away his own ego. He has to be something. And so maybe our fathers did what they did to make Nigeria one in 1970, but this is 2025. It's been 55 years. Have you ever had 1 year in 55 years where the victim narrative has not been peddled? This is, what are we doing? 55 years after the war, 65 years after independence, you still have to say, oh, sorry, oh, sorry, oh, sorry. Oh. You'll not be walking on eggshells around the person that should be saying sorry to you. And no, we don't need anybody sorry. Nobody should apologize for anybody. I'm not saying apologize to Nigerians. You don't have to. If you do, it's fine, but you don't have to. But don't ask me to do so. And if Sowore wants to apologize, he should do it in the name of himself and his family members. He can't do it for Nigeria. It's worse than what I'm saying, by the way. It's worse than what I'm saying. The things they discovered, the things Ojukwu did to his own people. A person decided that his people should not eat so that he can do content. You don't know how terrible this thing. I'm like this because I feel so sorry for the people. They've been lied to and they've bought it. People are saying that your people need food, medicine, and milk. And they are begging you, let your people have food, medicine, and milk. How can they beg you if you're really the leader of your people? And you're saying no. Why? So you can take pictures. He was doing content now. Somebody says I said do content. It's true now. He was creating content. They will take pictures, send it to Life magazine, take pictures, send it to the US. The person that was actually their point man in the US was the one who eventually had to write a letter in 1968 August and say, let your people eat. He published paper. He published it in paper in Kauai, in Lagos. So let the people have this thing. Why are you not allowing the food to get in? If you think I'm lying, guys, look for this name on social media. Yeah, sorry, on the internet. You can look for it. I think you can even find the letter. The letter is in a book by Brigadier General Alabi Sama, Tragedy of Victory. But I think you can find that letter online. It's an open letter. Robert Goldstein. Look for the name, please. Robert Goldstein. Look for the letter that he wrote in 1968 August. You find it there. He was begging. Say, the milk is available, the meat, the food is available, the medicine is available. Just let people get this thing across to your people. That's a leader. His children are the one in the comment section now insulting their parents. Some of them wear tie, beer, but no sense. You are just old for nothing. You are old like this. You don't know your own history. Your parents have brought you up with propaganda. You are now telling us to come and apologize for what Ojukwu did. Please, guys, look for Robert Goldstein on the internet. Look for it and look for the letter he wrote in 1968. If you believe that letter, if you believe a human being, it's amazing, how those who help you become villains, but those who put you in trouble become your heroes. It's the story of the Southeast. It's a guru. It's a guru that they were begging for food. So it's those of us in Nigeria that should not be saying, that's why, let me tell you when I even switched. I switched when Owaneze Ndigbo in 2025 asked for 10 trillion naira reparations. That was when I flipped. Because of course, we cannot be calm. When I saw that, they said it with boldness. Say, I now went to find the book is down there. Let me not bring it out. It's by Matthew Hassan Kuka, the one from Oputa panel, where they asked for 8.6 trillion naira reparations. Reparations. Because everybody doesn't talk now. All of us are quiet. That's what Kuka was saying in that interview when he said that in Nigeria we just say forgive and forget. No, forgive, but create a structure, like create order based on that thing that happened. Don't just sweep it under the carpet, or else what you're having is exactly what Benjamin Kalu is asking for in Lagos, where he said they have done something illegal, but just overlook it and let them regularize it. They should not put down the building. If you like, let it cause flood all over Lagos State. It doesn't really matter. Shebi we are Igbo. Just make sure that you regularize it. Tell the governor not to put down the building. They should not demolish the buildings. In other words, we must hold on to this function because we want to pander to a particular group. How do you want to grow as a nation? And it's that same group that says you are zoo. It's amazing. It's fascinating, actually, because enough said. So, God bless Nigeria. If we want to be doing no victor, no vanquish, let's not be deceiving ourselves that there was no victor, no vanquish. It's fine. It's fine. We know we are deceiving ourselves because we have not resolved that thing. That's why when you read the book by J. Sowore, like when he was talking about the fact that no other nation healed so fast from the war. The book is called Go On, the biography of a soldier statesman. When he made that statement, I was not like, where is the healing? Where is the healing? How do you want the Igbo people to heal? This is actually a disservice to them. How do they want to heal? Someone says on YouTube, Ojukwu, Azikiwe also wrote letter begging Ojukwu to negotiate peace to Igbo land was turned into it. I mean, it's a sad thing when you look at it from the people's perspective. When you see the kind of people that were leading them, God be with you. May God bless Igbo land. They need it. May God bless Igbo land. May things get better in that part of the country. May God raise leaders in Igbo land who actually want the people to be healed and succeed. May God raise people after his own heart to lead the people politically and in religion. Because I see this in religion, I see it in politics, and it's a shame. May God raise people that, I don't know how it will happen, but I pray that a miracle will happen that will turn the heart of the people to truth and away from propaganda. May God, in his infinite mercy, heal Igbo land. Because let me tell you something about propaganda. If you live on propaganda, you and your children will suffer. You think you are blackmailing the rest of the country? Don't worry, we can afford it. You will not be able to afford the consequences. You have so perfected propaganda that today, that's what sells in the East. Somebody says, spend 10% of your time on Ibos or Yoruba affairs, you will see good changes. No. My people, let me tell you something. No, I won't say it. You guys, I have answers for all these things you're writing, Sha. Like, I actually do have answers. I just don't think it's necessary because there are things I would say. You would doubt the paternity of. Anyway, the important thing is that God will bless your land. And the reason I'm talking about this is because for some weird reason, Sowore woke up and said to Panda and said that he want to apologize because Nigeria stopped them from becoming something. Since how easy is it as a country to produce the vice president of a nation 9 years after you lost the war? Why do you think Nigerian election in 79 went the way it did? Why was it that of the three major parties, the NPN had an Igbo vice presidential candidate, the UPN had an Igbo vice presidential candidate, the NNP had an Igbo presidential candidate? Why do you think that happened in 79? Because Nigeria was trying to bring everybody together and say, we are one, you are with us. Zeke was the presidential candidate, was an Igbo man in 79 of MPP. Ekweme was MPN's vice presidential candidate to Shehu Shagari. Philip Omiadi was UPN's vice presidential candidate to Papa Awolowo. In other words, all the major tickets had an Igbo as the vice president or the president. And NPN won or got sworn in. Meaning Ekweme became the vice president 9 years after the war was lost. What else should Nigeria do? Say they must be. Say they say they cannot become anything in Nigeria. Number one, if they said so, they have a right to say so. Have you ever seen? Have you studied what happened between 60 and 64 in the civil service, or between January and July of 66? How do you get into a place and you fill it up with 70% of your people? Not one place, not two, not three, not four, not five, not six parastate house. Just fill everywhere with your people. You think people will now say, open the door and come and fill the place? If people are complaining about things, why not ask, why are you saying this? And how many Senate presidents have we had from the Southwest? How many have we had from the Southeast? Obasanjo's tenure, we had 4. Abishe 5 tenure. It was Enwerem, Chuba Okadigbo, Pius Anyim, Wabara, Adolphus Wabara, and Nnamani. 5. Oh, they said that they want to exclude them from power. We literally have a deputy Senate, a deputy House of Representative member, deputy Speaker of House of Representatives right now. His name is Benjamin Kalu. He's Igbo. What do you mean they've removed them? Like these things that we say, do we even think about it? And especially when our children hear it, or the younger people in university, they just hear this thing. Oh, they really hate them. Oh, they do. And then all the local governments in Nigeria are selling, and they are hated, and they are trading, and they are living among the people that hate them, and they've not been chased, and they are still hated. Okay. They are really hated. They are really hated. When they were sharing allocation money, there was a particular period they didn't send money to the Southeast, Abi. Like they must show them. So no money to the Southeast, no allocation, Abi. They've been excluded. There are 58 representatives representing the Southeast in Abuja today. 58. 15 senators, 3 per state, 43 House of Rep members, and they are excluded. Oh, presidency, that one, you will do what you will have to do to become president. In other words, you are going to get in there, canvass, you will try, you may fail, you try again. You may even fail again, you keep trying. Nobody's going to vote for you because you are Yoruba or you are Igbo. Not anymore in Nigeria. Every region in Nigeria has been settled. Every region in Nigeria has been settled. The Southeast got settled in 79. The Southwest got settled in 99. The South got settled in 2011. Everybody is settled. In fact, 2007. South was settled in 2007. Nobody requires. You play the game. You might be like, and just in case I'm not clear, let me be clear. 79 was for the war that ended in 1917. That's for the Igbo people. 99 was for what happened in 93. That's for the Yoruba people. We were denied. So 99 day, and even then, Ekweme still went against that agreement. But let's leave that matter. Details, let's leave it. PDP issue. We'll talk about that another time. That was 99. 2007. Why was Jonathan made the vice president? Because of the crisis in the South. They've settled that one. Nobody is settling anybody. What about seaport and international airport? You can never have a seaport. Say amen. Because it's the truth. You cannot. Like, it doesn't. The only reason you can have. Do you know what can give you a seaport? I can't say it. It's very negative. You cannot. How are you going to have a seaport? Do you want to lose your land? Seaport, how? You can't have seaports. The people that have seaports, they have seaports. Leave what you cannot have and focus on what you have. You don't need seaports to make it in life. It's not like without seaports, man shall, what does the Bible say in Hebrews? Without Hebrews 12:14. Without follow peace with all men, without holiness, no man shall see the Lord. It's not like without seaport, no man shall see the Lord. You don't need seaport to make it in life. There are many parts of Nigeria. Ibadan does not have seaports. Ibadan has more revenue than the entire southeastern region. If it's by seaport, how come Ibadan has more revenue than the entire southeastern region? Say who closed them? closed. It was never open. There is no seaport in Igbo land. And it is not a minus. What is this to you people? Why must you have seaport? Say we are traders. They use the one in River State. There are 2 ports in River State. There's one in Port Harcourt, there's one in One. There's one in Calabar. And One is functioning. Made a huge load of money. The same place that Dangote is using to bring in the trucks that are going to be assembling in Enugu is One this year. An airport. You have Enugu International Airport. The port is still there. The airport is still there. There's one other one in Anambra State. The one that Oyema, that's the airpiece man, was saying that he paid 100 million naira for land beside Anambra State Airport to build, a place to fix airplanes, and then they told him that he cannot do it, so he had to move it to Lagos. The things you are asking for, one, you cannot have. The one you have, you're not doing anything with it. The seaport, you cannot have it. Can you have river port or giant inland port? Yes. So what should you do? You have money na water. Build one for yourself. Like people are doing it in different states. It's in Lagos, it's in Olokola, in Ogun State. Dangote is building one with Ogun State. It's Dangote. It's not Nigerian federal government. Ibom Deep Sea Port, they are working with Ondo states. They are working with Badagry, yes, Badagry, Olokola and Ogun State, and Ondo State. Ondo is working with the Swiss consortium. But you don't have to look for money from anywhere. Money is water. You know how you have billions and you're wearing singlets. The money is there. Spend this money. It's not always carry for you. Spend this money. Spend the money. Build this thing, and you can. And the government will not stop you from building it.